What is up? What is up? Welcome back to another NFL Rundown. Today we're going to review week 2, and then we're going to talk about tonight's Monday Night Football game. We will give away some props, some totals, and a good core to make a DFS DraftKings lineup. Tyler, how we doing today?
Oh, we're good. Coming off a sweepy yesterday, we went 4-0 on the sheet, so looking to build on that.
Yeah, great job to you guys, and great job to you to attack those props. And what a month for September. Can't remember off the top of my head, but a lot of units in the green for the Run Pure team. I didn't add much to that, so, thanks to you, Jay and Joey Work for really tagging that on. Title, we were just talking about your DFS day yesterday, but how are you feeling today?
Yeah, my Green Bay Packers are on Monday Night Football, looking to bounce back. So yeah, I got my Aaron Rodgers jersey on. I'm excited. 12-point spread, you don't see that every day, that's for sure. So definitely gonna be interesting. We break down Showdown. Everyone's gonna be on Green Bay's side, 5-1s, 4-2s, stuff like that. So we'll talk about how you get different. You don't want to hold hands and share first place with 300, 400 people. So we'll get into that. But wasn't the best week for me in DFS. Couple breaks here and there. But hey, that's why you have bankroll management. You survive. It's a long season. Variance. I mean, it all evens out at the end. We have a good process. We'll be profitable. And spread. I mean, basketball is going to be here before you know it. You'll be back on the sheet in the green. Can't wait for NBA season. It's going to be here before we know it. So good month for the Run Pure Bet side for sure, though. Keg, Joey Work, all them. Always looking at the plays. MMA, they did well. Good time to join and be a Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets member.
Yeah, definitely. I always advise to do both, but if you only have time for the bets and you're not doing the DFS, remember runforyourbets.com. Use the promo code BETS25 off to get access to the spreadsheet and the Discord. Not to mention the live shows where Tyler was killing it yesterday. All right, a little more about yesterday. Let's get right into it. The Panthers didn't bounce back, but they definitely overcame some odds there as they closed as a 3.5-point dog. They beat the New Orleans Saints here. 26-7. Darnold 305 yards, 2 TDs. Jameis Winston only 111 yards, so that's less than 250 now in his 2 games here. So I got a couple questions. That's what we're going to do to start. We'll do the questions. My first one for you, Tyler. Is the Panthers legit, or is this just an easy schedule?
I think the defense is legit. The schedule's a bit easy, but we'll see how this progresses over the weeks to come. I mean, would it surprise you if this team wins like 4 games and then loses out the rest of the year? Not really, with Darnold under the helm, but I could definitely see them winning like 8 to 9 games.
Yeah, what do you think, Title? Is this team legit, or is it just an easy schedule? Number one, catching the Jets, who are probably a bottom 5 team, and then the Saints in a terrible situational spot.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a little bit of both. I said last week, though, I'm a Sam Darnold guy. I mean, it was a good week for Title's low-key guys. Daniel Jones played well on Thursday night. I'm higher on him than other people. Then Sam Darnold, like I said, when you're surrounded by McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Terrence Marshall, like he's got the weapons. The defense, like Tyler said, is good. I think the Panthers are a sleeper. Like I don't think they're going to be in a championship game or a Super Bowl or stuff like that, but they're going to overperform. And I think it's a little bit of both, obviously, with the Saints COVID and the coaching and the players out and stuff like that. They've ran good, but I think this is a good football team that's going to compete.
All right. Speaking of those Saints, I grew up with a young girl named Dorothy who said there's no place like home. I want to ask you guys, how big of a toll is this taking on this New Orleans team not having a home right now?
Yeah,
go ahead, Title.
Yeah, it definitely sucks. I mean, playing in the Dome in the Super Bowl, it definitely helps the Saints. With the coaches too and stuff like that, they just couldn't get it. I mean, I had Kamara and Cash, whole different subjects, just so frustrating. They had nothing going on the whole time. It sucks. I mean, I think that's definitely taken a toll on them. I don't think that's an excuse to get beat like they just were. They look like world beaters against the Packers, then you come out and look like awful. So I don't think it's necessarily all of their problems, but it definitely hurts.
What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's all their problems either. I think more the COVID and the coaches being out was more to help with that loss yesterday than the whole like home sickness theory there.
All right. Yeah, let's jump into the next game. The Bears beat the Bengals 20-17. Justin Fields ended up playing most of the game as Andy Dalton was knocked out of it. He still only threw for 60 yards. Joe Burrow, man, looking like a number one pick for sure, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns. We saw Joe Mixon get 69 yards. Tyler Boyd was the lead receiver for the Bengals, 7 receptions, 73 yards. So, the Bears should have covered that game no matter when you bought it. Now, if you bought it at the beginning of the week, you hit the opener like I did and you messed up because I thought everyone else would see the Bears as the right side too. You ended up getting the push. A big reason for that push was just a terrible interception that Justin Fields threw, right? And that's the thing that a veteran like Dalton's supposed to avoid. The first thing I'd like to say is, first, this is an indictment of Matt Nagy because it's an inexperienced touchdown, and if he would have been taking first team reps the whole time, maybe he wouldn't have that inexperience, but he doesn't. With the way that Nagy is running things as a better title, do you feel better with the Bears with Fields or Dalton at quarterback?
Yeah, so Fields didn't look good. I'm definitely concerned with him, but I'm still on Team Fields. I mean, his athleticism, he just brings so much more to the offense, and with his legs, he can make plays. So I'm gonna say Fields, just his talent wise, but he's definitely far from where he's gonna be, and it's scary. I mean, you drafted him high, you expect him to be the franchise quarterback. I get it's scary, but I think it's time. I mean, you didn't play him week 1 against the Rams. I thought that was the right move, but I think you have a better chance to win games with Fields and his athleticism. So I'll say there, but the Bears they're a couple pieces away. I think a couple of years from really being contenders.
Yeah, Tyler, long term, I think we all agree that Fields should be playing, and that's the right move for this franchise. But just looking like for betting as far as like week 3, week 4, what do you think? Would you rather bet on a team led by Fields or Dalton?
I mean, if you're forcing me to back him, I'd rather have Dalton out there. But if I'm fading him, put Fields out on the field. I mean, he did not look ready to be out there yet. And his reads from receiver 1 to receiver 2 are still pretty slow. They're almost still at that college level. He's going to get his head blown off his shoulders a couple times back there in that pocket. I mean, we've seen it in the preseason with that hit in the Buffalo game.
Yeah, and it leads me to wonder, was Nagy right about benching Fields, or did Nagy make himself right by not giving him those first team reps, right, and making him just sit there and watch Andy Dalton and not giving him that experience? Something we'll really never know for sure. Let's go on to the Bengals side, right? This team did not give up, Tyler. And I'll tell you what, my favorite bet preseason was that Bengals regular season win total under. Burrow's legit. They've got the weapons. This defense might not be as bad as I thought. Tyler, do you think that my under for the Bengals is in jeopardy?
I mean, depending on how bad the Steelers keep looking, it could be. I mean, they could pick up 2 wins right there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, their schedule's pretty tough. I don't see them picking up 7 wins.
All right, what do you think, Title? I know you were higher on the Bengals than most, so you get the advantage of some hindsight here. Do you think that Bengals will end up going over now?
Yeah, I mean, I'd look at stuff more from DFS perspective, best balls and offenses rather than like wins and stuff. So I don't have a strong lean on that. I like the Bengals offense because their ADPs were low. You got Mixon, Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Like, there's so much talent on that offensive end, but there's a lot more to that. You need a lot more than that just to win football games. So you guys are a lot sharper in that win department than me, so I won't even comment on that. But I do like this Bengals offense. They got a lot of young talent.
All right, I definitely agree with you there on the offensive side of the ball. Now, Tyler, the Texans moved to 2-0 against the spread as they lost by 10 against the Browns. Tyrod Taylor was knocked out, which means that we got, what was his name, Davis Mills out there. Still, the Texans kept it respectable here. This is a team that we had all written off. What do you think they do now with Davis Mills? How do you handicap this team going forward?
I think if Davis Mills plays, I think they'll still be a pretty solid team, but I don't think they'll cover the spread as much as you see with Tyrod under center. Mm-hmm. I mean, Tyrod's just playing like he's just still trying to win football games to where like this Houston team shouldn't be wanting to win football games. Like you should be trying to tank for that first draft pick. But I mean, when you look at their team on paper, it's not the worst, but I think they still lose some games that they shouldn't.
All right, Title, I'm actually give you a different question just so we don't have as much time. What are they doing with Deshaun Watson, and do you think he's going to play it down for this team this year?
Man, I don't know what they're doing. My guess is that he's not going to, but I hope he does. Everything I've heard and what it seems like, I don't think they're going to. And yeah, they should be tanking, and they absolutely are tanking. I don't know if you guys saw what their coach 4th and 2, and they drew them off sides, and they declined the penalty for 4th and 2. I tweeted about it earlier. Then they punted the football. One of the dumbest things I've ever seen from a coach. So the Texans are doing what I guess they want to do. And did you see that spread?
I missed that play because I have money on this one, so that was it was not in my radar.
It was like 3rd and 12, or I think it was 3rd and 12, something. They picked up 10 yards, then it was 4th and 2, and they drew the Bengals off, or they drew the Browns offside. So they declined the penalty, kept 4th and 2. They're at about midfield, so everyone thought they were going to go for it because why wouldn't you take 3rd and 10 otherwise? Then they decided to punt the football on 4th and 2 when they could have been 3rd and 10. So it was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. Twitter absolutely was blowing up. I even tweeted about it. They asked the coach, and he didn't even have a good reason for it. He goes, yeah, next time we'll see what I'm thinking. I don't know. But they're doing the right job, and I guess tanking and not wanting to win football games because that was the most negative EV decision you can make. As far as Deshaun Watson, I'm still going to guess no, but I hope we see him out there. He's just so talented.
All right, Tyler, let me go back to you since you're our resident Browns backer this season. Not for life, but you're high on him this season. Are you concerned about the injury that Baker took to his non-throwing shoulder?
I mean, he went right back out there in the next drive and played the rest of the game, so I think he's fine.
Okay. What do you think, Title? Are you downgrading him all like in your DFS rankings?
No, because he came out. I was definitely worried at first, but
if he wouldn't have played the rest of the game, then maybe I'd have been worried, but right back in the game, I think he's fine.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to a game that I know that we missed, Tyler, when we were talking about it because at least me, I laid it with the Rams there. They only win by 3. Carson Wentz goes down with 2 sprained ankles on the same play. Thank you, Aaron Donald. Matt Stafford looked good. I think Henderson went down too. I didn't think Michelle looked that bad. But to get straight into my question, and I'll go to you on this one, Title. Is there any way you can leave Cooper Kupp out of your DFS lineups from here on out?
Man, what a stud. Yeah, I played him on both sides. Thankfully, he was too cheap. His target share, his routes ran, now with Henderson going down, he's so good. I had a ton of I'm very high in Cooper Kupp. I just think he's a complete stud, and he's overlooked because his height, he's maybe not the flashiest and stuff, but man, this guy knows how to play football, and Stafford gets it to him. So I'll be playing a lot of Cooper Kupp this year.
All right, and then Tyler, I'll just go over to you for the next question, and it's about the Colts. Assuming Wentz is out, do you think that there's any chance that this team is a strong enough roster to win with Jacob Eason at quarterback?
I don't think so. I mean, they're already banged up in so many other spots. Like, if they weren't banged up in all them other spots and were 100% healthy, and he was the only guy missing, then maybe, but not with the way they're looking right now.
What do you think, Title? Is there going to be any Jacob Eason in any of your DFS lineups?
No, I think that's burning money on fire. So
does that mean you paid all Colts now, or do you still put some Taylor in there?
It's a huge downgrade. That's I probably won't have really any Colts exposure. I mean, they're going to stack the box, make Eason beat them, and even the weapons outside. I like Michael Pittman a lot and stuff, but they don't have those guys that can just absolutely bail out a quarterback. So huge downgrade for the Colts.
Yeah, and remember, guys, it's not confirmed that Eason's going to start, right? Wentz is still questionable, but I had to do an article for Bookmakers Review today, that had to turn in today for the Colts, and I wrote it with the assumption that it's going to be Jacob Eason in there. So if that play was just brutal, really seems hard to imagine he would get back out there, but this is the NFL, and what do they say? Cortisone is a hell of a drug. So maybe he will be right back out there. So let's move on to Denver. And I actually stole this question from Carolina. It's the same question as Denver beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. What was it, 23-13? Trevor Lawrence had another terrible day, only 118 yards, 1 TD, and I think he had 70 yards on the first drive. So he's really bad for the rest of that. Teddy Bridgewater, 328 yards, 2 TDs, and the highest average depth of target of anyone in the NFL after 2 games. So that's a big surprise here. My first question is going to be about Denver, though, and I'll start with you, Title. Is this team legit, or like Carolina, was this another easy schedule? They've beaten the Giants and the Jaguars on the road, but still.
Yeah, I'm still gonna say they're not as good as what we've seen. I mean, if Judy was healthy, I think it'd be a different story. But that's definitely a big downgrade to them. I'm gonna say, yeah. I think they're the 2-0 record. I don't think is more to an easy schedule than how good I think they'll be. But hey, I mean, they have a defense; they can keep doing it. But I'm not fully bought in yet.
All right, Tyler, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, that team stays 100% healthy and they get Judy back. That's a top 5 team in the AFC.
All right, I like it.
Wow.
All right,
I mean,
like
just
it.
look around the AFC.
What about without Judy? What about without Judy?
Without Judy, I'd say they're top 10, lower end of the 10. That defense is solid. That defense is going to finish the year top 5. And if Bridgewater's going to play like this and be safe with the ball, I think they're top 5 in the AFC because you got the Chiefs, you got the Browns, you probably got the Chargers, and maybe the Ravens, depending on their health.
So
who else you got?
They got Jets next week, Ravens weekend. I mean, Jets win. Ravens, Steelers aren't looking. Yeah, I mean they're going to start the. I mean, Jets are.
They're going to have a nice record.
I mean, to be fair, Bridgewater carved up the Giants and the Jaguars here, right? It's not like he beat the 86 Giants or a real good defense. So I'm personally holding against it, but as a Raiders fan in the AFC West, could be a little biased. Now I want to switch the conversation to Jacksonville. Lawrence, okay, I'm not saying like, oh, he's not going to be good, right? I still think he's going to be good. Peyton Manning had these same issues his rookie year, being thrown into the fire. But my question for you, and I'll start with you, Title, is he going to be good at all this season, or do we just write him off and it's not going to be until next year where we really see this guy be good?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take more of a wait and see. Like, I played him week 1 in the Nuts matchup, and he's still, I mean, he had to get there in garbage time in a dome and all that stuff. I'm going to take a wait and see. I don't think he's really going to show good matchups. It might be week to week. He'll be fine. But overall, I think it's going to be a lot of growing pains. I think Urban Meyer's a donkey. I just don't really trust that whole situation. So I think Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he's talent-wise, he's always been the best where he is. I think he'll be fine in the long run. But this year, I think it's going to be a struggle still.
Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. I just think the offensive line's so bad that you'll just see him running for his life most of the game, throwing the interceptions when he's rushed. And everything else around them, I mean, yeah, they have a couple good weapons, but their defense really isn't all that good. So, I mean, give them another year to pick up some free agents and have some high draft picks. I think they'll be better next year. He'll show you some flashes this year, but he won't be able to put together like a season long.
Yeah, I still think he's going to be a great quarterback and maybe a top 5 quarterback someday, but it might not be this year. It might be a whole season full of growing pains before he really reaches his potential. Because yesterday was really rough to watch, and as someone who's been kind of adopted that team and started rooting for that team, it's been nothing really encouraging. Talk about encouraging though. The Bills fans have to be encouraged by that bounce back performance, 35-0. They knocked Tua out of the. They knocked Tua out of the game. So to be fair, like, I had a Dolphins ticket, and it's like, well, I could say, well, Tua got knocked out, bad beat. But honestly, my ticket was based on the fact that I thought that defense was going to give Diggs and Beasley problems. They did not. Both of them torched. They were wide open. Zach Moss was a beast in the red zone. So the question for you guys about the Bills, start with you, Tyler. Are there any concerns still, or is this pretty much the Bills team that we expected and brush off week 1 and here we go?
I mean, I still think they'll be a great team in the AFC, but I still don't think their running game's where it needs to be. Like, you got to be able to run the ball to beat these certain teams to win the Super Bowl. Like, you don't want to get into a shootout with Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship game. It's just not a good idea.
Right.
So we'll see if Singletary can piece together a solid year, and same with Zach Moss, but I still got to see it to believe it with them.
All right, and we're not going to go into a full debate on this, but I think I like Josh Allen's chances in a shootout more than Baker Mayfield's. But, Tyler, what do you think?
That's where they run the ball. They have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. That's how you beat them. You keep the ball on the ground, keep the ball away from them.
Okay. And you know what? You make a great point after watching last night. So, Title, what do you think there? Any concerns about the Bills still, or are they just back on track, ready to be a Super Bowl contender?
Yeah, I wasn't concerned with them last week. I'm not concerned now, but I will say, I mean, Josh Allen's got to step it up a little. He was 17 for 33, 179 yards. He had an interception. He made some sloppy throws. He didn't look completely locked in, missed some throws he should have made. So I'm not worried. He'll be fine, but I mean, maybe I'm being a little hard. I watch every snap. I had him in DFS back-to-back weeks and got floor weeks. I keep saying floor weeks, but who knows? But he's missing some throws that he should make, and it's got to get a little sharper. But he's one of the best quarterbacks got a good offensive coordinator. He has the weapons. They'll be just fine.
I think it's also the fact that we watched him play like almost like a picture perfect year last year. You kind of expect him to get better, and he really can't because that was the best year you could have put together last year for him.
Yeah. And when I had to, put the big X and the big L on my Miami Dolphins handicap, you pointed out perfectly. I mean, Diggs was open way more than he got yards for, right? I mean, they won that game easily, and he left so many throws on the table. That's what I'm saying. If you're a Bills fan, you got to be encouraged because not only do they win and look dominant, there's stuff they can go back and work on and look a little better here. So from the Miami side, how much of the loss is Tua? Supposedly he's going to try and get back in there this week against the Raiders. Let's just assume they play it safe because that's what I would do if I was this franchise. And Jacoby Brissett is out there. Title, what do you think? How much of a downgrade is it from Tua to Brissett?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Tua guy, but I still think he's a lot better for this offense than Brissett is. It's definitely downgraded. I still think Buffalo was going to have their way against Miami. I don't think the whole loss was because of Tua. But their offense definitely, I mean, he was out right away. He took a massive shot. He was out first drive. But I do think it is a downgrade. I mean, Tua has the legs and mobility to make plays and scramble a little bit. So I think it's a downgrade for sure. But, yeah, like you said, I don't think he's going to be out. Like it's not as scary as a Carson Wentz right now with 2 ankles and stuff like that. So I expect he'll be back sooner rather than later.
All right. Tyler, I know you're higher on Tua. Like, if you're just, if I'm doing my power rankings, how much should I downgrade the Miami Dolphins as a whole if I find out that Jacoby Brissett's starting and not Tua next week?
I'd probably say like maybe a point.
Only 1 point, huh?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking 2 to 2.5.
Because I mean, just the way Tua plays too, like he plays very like hesitant. He doesn't take these shots like we've seen him take in college. Mm-hmm. And Brissett's pretty much kind of like a similar quarterback. Like outside of the mobility, like there's really not much of a difference right now. That Tua
throws a better deep ball.
Yeah, but he won't throw that deep ball unless it's wide open by 20 yards. Like, he won't try and thread that needle.
Yeah, that's true.
He takes care of the ball a little more, though. You saw Brissett throw it, not read coverage, I guess.
Yeah.
Like Brissett, he has you definitely could. There's definitely worse backup quarterbacks out there for sure. At least
could have Dwayne Haskins.
To me, he's like the ultimate. The ultimate normal backup. Like he, if you're doing wins above replacement, like he's the replacement level backup quarterback, right? Not replacement level starter. So I do think it is a downgrade. And as a Raiders fan, I would much rather see Brissett out there next week rather than Tua. I do think that it downgrades the team a little. He's still the future though, so it makes sense to be careful there. Let's move on to the Patriots and the Jets. I honestly didn't take that much away from this game. Maybe it's one of the few games that I had pegged right. I thought the Patriots were going to bounce back. I thought Zach Wilson would struggle. So I would guess my main question for you is, are the Patriots real? Can they keep up with the Bills? What do you think, Title?
No, I'm not going to go that far. I think it was Bill Belichick having a good scheme against a rookie quarterback and a Jets team that just isn't ready yet. So I think the Bills are still going to hand it to him.
All right. Mac Mall, Mac 10, Mac Jones. What are your thoughts on this team, Tyler?
I mean, they look good. The defense looks good, but to hang with the Bills still, I think they still need a little bit more. Their offense just doesn't have the firepower, I think, yet.
All right, let's talk about the Eagles and the Jets here. I'm sorry, the Jets. I skipped over the Jets because really, we're just going to say the same stuff we said last week. They're a rebuilding team and they might get better, but we'll see how long. The Eagles and the 49ers, where the Niners won 17-11. Jimmy Garoppolo only had 189 yards passing. Jalen Hurts had 190 yards, but Hurts added 82 yards on his feet with the touchdown. Every Niners running back got injured, right? I saw Hasty, Sermon, and Elijah Mitchell all on the injury report this morning. So that's a cluster injury, but if there's any place where you can afford it, to me, it's running back here. So my question for you now, the 49ers have the least amount of passing yards through 2 games, but they're 2-0. Can they win without passing the ball? I'll start with you, Title.
I don't think they can win. I mean, they can beat some of the bad teams and stuff like that. Their defense can hang in there sometimes, but they're not going to be able to beat every team. And the longer they go, I think that's going to be a problem. Why I think Trey Lance is better for this team eventually. We'll see what Shanahan thinks, but I don't think you can throw it as little as they do and still beat some really good teams. If they go against I don't even know if I can say Packers right now, but Josh Allen's of the world and Mahomes of the world and Lamar's, can they keep scoring with doing what they're doing? I don't think so. I didn't watch the game 100%, like every play. Why did Jimmy Garoppolo have 11 carries? I know some were QB sneaks, but he had 11 carries for 20 yards. Did you guys?
They were just using RPOs, like and I think
he wanted to show he was the better runner than Lance.
I'm thinking they're installing it for the rest of the team. So when Lance does get some time, the offensive linemen are used to running it, the fullbacks used to running it, the wide receivers are used to running it, and you're not completely switching your scheme. That's my guess. Not to mention in the red zone, like less than 5 yards, I don't think it's a bad option. He's a big guy. He got the one sneak for a touchdown. So I don't think it's the worst idea, but I also think that it makes this inevitable transition, right, that we all know that's going to happen. I think it's to make it a little smoother. My Philly question, it's going to tie into the Dallas game, so we'll wait on that. Tyler, boy, how much fun did we have out here on the West Coast getting up at 10 a.m. and watching the Las Vegas Raiders beat the Steelers? You and I were both surprised. We thought this was a terrible situation. We thought the Raiders were going to read their press clippings and party in Vegas all week and not be ready for this game. That was not the case, as they were able to win 26-17. Derek Carr, another huge game, 382 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ben Roethlisberger had 295 yards and 1 TD. I thought that was a bit deceiving. If you watched, I didn't think he looked that good.
He looks bad.
We'll just start with him, because the question I wrote down is he washed? I mean, is Ben washed?
He should have retired last year after that playoff loss. I mean, every time he throws the deep ball, there's not a receiver within 15 yards of it. He has no range on that arm anymore. Like, he's just whipping the ball around. He's kind of holding us up because we should have been drafting a quarterback last year, but now we're going to try and run Dwayne Haskins out there next year. So, not looking good in Pittsburgh. TJ Watt's hurt. Joe Hayden's hurt. Devin Bush is hurt. The defense is all banged up now.
Yeah.
Here comes a high draft pick for Pittsburgh.
Title, what do you think? Ben Roethlisberger, is he washed? Does he need to hang it up after this year?
He's been washed. He held the really good Steelers team back last year. He can't move. He's 100% holding them back. If they had a good quarterback there, that's a scary team, that's for sure.
All right, and the next question.
If they were healthy, yeah. I mean, the injuries on defense is definitely concerning.
Gerardo, you pretty much summed it up what the question is. And my question for you guys is that I'm not even going to weigh in because obviously I'm biased. But are the Las Vegas Raiders legit? Title, we'll start with you.
I like this Raiders team. I've always been a fan of Derek Carr. It's hard not to be, and he's definitely keeps making strides of improvement. Darren Waller's an absolute animal. Henry Ruggs, you guys would be a lot better if you took one of the other guys over a Henry Ruggs. But, hey, it was finally nice to see him get loose deep and beat the defense. Josh Jacobs' injury is definitely concerning. You could tell he was really beat up week 1. Glad they held him out week 2. I think a couple weeks if he was held out to get 100% is smart for the team. Their defensive line, I mean, Crosby's an absolute monster. These guys are getting some pressure. So I'm impressed with this Raiders defense. Derek Carr's got an arm. They got some weapons. I think this Raiders team's a pretty solid. The expectations, I mean, you hope in playoffs, you're hoping maybe one win in the playoffs and stuff. They're not a top 6 team, top 7 team and stuff, but the Raiders are a pretty good team. They're gonna give good teams fights, I think.
Well, after making the playoffs one time in the last 17 years, I'll tell you what, Raiders fans would not be upset even with the first round exit. Tyler, I'll tell you what, around the team, the idea, the rallying cry amongst the fans at least, we got a real defensive coordinator now. It was Paul Gunther that was holding us back. Gus Bradley's gotten these guys playing the proper defense. Even with an average defense, Derek Carr can get it done. What do you think, Tyler? Are the Raiders legit?
I mean, yeah, I definitely think they're legit. I was thinking they were legit before the season when we did the previews. I said this was the second best team in the AFC West.
I do remember you saying that. So,
but I mean, it's just I'm worried that they do the same thing they've done over the past couple of years, and we've seen them. They look good through 7 to 8 weeks, and then they just they turn the switch off, and they just don't want to win anymore. So if we're seeing this team play like this in week 10, week 11, book them a playoff spot.
Yeah, I mean, and to go to Title's favorite team in the NBA, right? It was almost like for you guys in the regular season last year with the Bucks, right? You're like, well, we've seen this before, right? We're not really going to get excited till we see it in the playoffs. for the Raiders fans right now, we're not going to get excited till we see this in November and December, because we've seen a bunch of great Septembers and Octobers under Gruden, and then we've seen this team completely run out of gas. So, obviously this is great, because we had them on 0-2 when we did our schedule, right, Tyler, preseason, and we still had them being pretty good. So for them to get 2 wins where they could easily have been 0-2 and no one would even bat it an eye, I think it's great for them. Let's go to what might have been the most exciting game yesterday, and that was the Vikings falling short, missing a chip shot field goal to the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray, boy, how much fun is he in DFS? 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins is actually sneaky good. 244 yards, 3 touchdowns. So now on the season, Kirk Cousins is 58 of 81 for 581 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. No one's really talking about him up here. I think it's because the team fell short. My argument, though, and my question for you is, where do they go from here? Because of all the 0-2 teams, I would make the argument that they're the closest to being 2-0 because they had that weird Dalvin Cook fumble. Was it or was it not? Regardless, they were on pace to win that game. Then they're a chip shot away from losing this game. They should definitely be 1-1, not 0-2. Title, how are you rating the Vikings from here on out?
Yeah, it's good thankful for them. They're in the NFC North with an awful division right now. Obviously, the Packers haven't played yet, but best they can be 1-1. This Vikings team has so much talent. Like you said, Kirk Cousins is playing, but when you have Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, that offensive line was getting good push yesterday against a good defensive line as well. So there's a lot of positives to be made out of it. Kyler Murray's Kyler Murray, so they're going to let up points there. But, man, you just got to 0-2 when you should be pretty much 2-0. That's the only thing is how's their mental side? Can the coaches keep getting them to fight and buy in? And the division, I think, should help them with that. Being 0-2, it's a fine division to be 0-2 in. So this Vikings team's going to fight. They have so much talent. Anytime Dalvin, Justin Jefferson, you got Thielen, those 3 alone can win you games. So sucks for them, but that's a scary football team. Not a Super Bowl, but they'll fight. They got talent.
Tyler, what do you think about the Minnesota Vikings? Have you even downgraded them at all in your rankings?
No, not really. Just because those games were so close, and just like you said, a couple little changes of plays, and all of a sudden they're winning those games, and they're 2-0 and sitting at the top of this division. And just like Title said, what better division to be 0-2 in than this NFC North right now?
Yeah, maybe the AFC South, and that's
by week 4 we could blink, and they're the top team in this division. So
yeah.
And I think this team goes as long as Dalvin Cook stays healthy. We seen him yesterday. We watched him go into the tent, come back out, go play 3 plays, go back in the tent, come back out. He did it 3 times last game. So as long as he can stay healthy, I think they're a good team.
And when are they going to get a field? I could not imagine being a Vikings fan with their field goal kickers in their past. When are they going to?
He's actually been a great kicker, and then he just shanked
the clutch.
Unbelievable.
When are they going to get a clutch kicker? It's always
when you need them the most.
Yep.
All right, the Arizona Cardinals Title. Is this a playoff-bound team, or is this just a team off to a hot start that's going to regress as Kyler gets beat up over the season?
Oh, I think this is a playoff team with J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones. Defense a little concerned, but at least they have some stars up there, can get some pressure. Then, Kyler Murray. I think Chase Edmonds is a very good and underrated running back. They have James Conner there, too, so they can go 2 running backs. Hopkins, Rondale Moore is a complete stud. Christian Kirk, they got weapons, and Kyler Murray, he's very, very good. So I think this is a playoff football team. Sucks the division they're in, but I think they're going to fight. That division is just so fun to watch, but Kyler's is good enough to make them. They could be the 1 seed, I think.
Yeah, it's starting to look like the NBA, how stacked the West is in both the AFC and the NFC. Tyler, what do you think of the Cardinals? Is this team playoff bound, or are you still sticking by our preseason prediction on this team?
I think they're playoff bound just as long as Kyler doesn't get hurt.
I mean that's a big if.
It is a big if, but and looking at this team, the defense is good. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to love watching this offense play because they're almost like an NFC version of the Chiefs with all the weapons running around. Like you could score at any moment in 10 seconds, or you can score in 5 minutes. So it depends on how this team wants to beat you. So I think as long as he stays healthy, they're definitely a playoff team.
Yeah, they definitely have taken the Madden offense to a whole new level, right? They look like your buddies, real good. They're just running around and doing all this stuff, and you're like, that's fake. That would never happen, That's almost the cheat code that Kyler is. All right, let's talk about the Buccaneers and the Falcons. I really didn't have much to say about the Buccaneers, right? They're great. We know they're great, defending champions, blah, blah, blah. So, 2 pick sixes in the fourth quarter for Matt Ryan after the Falcons had won the third and kind of gave themselves some hope. And we saw all the pictures of him going around the internet just looking like, he was just scared of everything. Simple question, Title. How bad is this Atlanta team? They played. Depending on how you rate Philadelphia, right? Pretty tough schedule to start. Are they maybe not as bad as we think?
I don't know. I think their offense is good enough to fight. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Matt Ryan guy, but he's been there. He'll keep them kind of in games. So their defense is so bad. I think they're gonna put up a little fight, but I think at the end of the day, I think this is a bad football team, and they're gonna need a bigger arm, someone to come in, take it over. They have talent. This year is not their year. I think they're gonna be one of the worst teams down there, bottom half for sure, even lower than that. It's not a good football team, I don't think.
Yeah, and I think unlike the Steelers and the other wash quarterback we talked about, that they should be drafting in the top 5 here. But the reason, Tyler, and we'll get into this more tomorrow when we break down the game individually, but I think this is a huge game for them against the Giants team, right? Now, this is a worse defense than the first two they faced. To me, it's a measuring stick. If they can't score against this Giants team, they're going to have problems scoring all year long. How bad are the Falcons, Tyler? Do you even downgrade them after losing to the defending champs?
How much farther can you downgrade them? They got to be a bottom 3 team. Like, what are you going to do?
Huh?
What are you going to do? Downgrade them from 3 to 1? Like,
you got.
So who do you have? Falcons, Texans, Jaguars. That's your
I'm not
bottom
even sure
3.
the Texans are down there anymore. Like, the roster might show it on paper, but they're going to put together, I think 3 to 4 wins, maybe even 5. So where this Eagles team, they might win a single game, and it might be this
Falcons.
week.
Falcons. Eagles are pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Atlanta.
One game, yeah. So you got them a little worse than I was trying to think, because bottom half was a given. I didn't want to say anything.
They could legitimately go 0-6 in the division.
They're bad.
Yeah.
They are bad.
And you look at the rest of their games, like this Giants one could be the easiest one they got.
I'll probably bet the Giants. I'm not even gonna lie.
I think Leonard Williams could get to him. This offensive line isn't good, and the Giants' pass rush is pretty good.
Bad offensive line, non-mobile quarterback. Like, what are we doing in 2021, right? This looks like a problem straight out of 1987. And so Dallas, they beat the Chargers yesterday, and boy, there was a lot of talk about the officiating there. I thought some of it was overblown. Of the 5 calls I saw everyone complaining about, I thought 2 of them were really bad calls, and the other 3 could have gone both ways. Regardless, Dallas gets the win, and this goes back to my question about the Eagles earlier, because I think that's the team that's really fighting for them from what we've seen for the first 2 games. Is Dallas the best team in the NFC East? Start with you, Title.
I'm going to say yes. I think their weapons, their defense has obviously always been the biggest concern. They got some guys flying. Parsons is really good football player. They got that Curse guy. He was flying around the field. The defense showed me a little bit in their offense. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard's better than Zeke. I've been saying that for over a year. I believe it. He's more explosive. But then you get Pollard and Zeke, and now they're giving Pollard the ball a lot more. They got Dak behind. So I think this team, just thinking about the talent alone, Mike McCarthy might hold him back a little bit. What was he doing at the end of the game? Forcing Zerline to hit that tough field goal. One of the worst coaches. I hate him, obviously.
Of all time.
Yeah. What are you doing? Like, Zerline bails him out. Like, what? Good old Mike McCarthy. But yeah, the coaching, it's not the best division, obviously, but I think they are the best. They have the most talent.
Tyler, what do you think? Who's the best team in the NFC East right now after 2 games?
It's probably got to be Dallas. Washington's defense looks like it's taking a step back. The Giants look like the Giants.
Philly looks pretty good, though.
Yeah, but they're losing guys on the defensive line now for the whole year. Brandon Graham's done. Mm-hmm. So, that's going to be a hit. I still don't trust Jalen Hurts 100%, so give me Dallas.
All right. Let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks, who played the Tennessee Titans. Here's a fun stat I got for you guys. Seattle, before yesterday, was 52-0 at home when they had a 15-point lead or more. Now they're 52-1. I could not believe how they blew that game yesterday. I mean, completely ruined my mood. I threw in Seattle on a teaser. Seemed pretty easy, 24-9. We're stealing touchdowns from Julio Jones, right? So I can't even complain about officiating because I don't know how that happened. Title, what do you think about the Seattle Seahawks? It's crazy. They're now in fourth place in the NFC West at 1-1.
That is crazy. Yeah, we keep talking about the division, but man, it is stacked. Yeah, I mean, because of the division, you got to be a little scared. That's a game that you can't lose in a division like that when you actually have it under control. So another topic, Lockett, DK Metcalf. I don't know if I'll ever get that right in DFS. But yeah, Lockett, he just keeps performing, I guess. But yeah, Russell Wilson played a great game, 22 for 31, 343 yards, 2 touchdowns. They got to get more out of the running game. 13 for 31. Chris Carson averaging 2.4 yards a carry. I love to let Russ cook. I think that's how you got to do it, but you got to get a little more from them. Yeah, I mean, that's a tough loss. They should have won that football game. No other way around it. Defense got tired, and Derrick Henry absolutely ran over them. So what a stat that was. I didn't know that, but there's no excuses. You got to win that football game at the end of the day, and can't lose the close ones in a division like that.
Tyler, what are your thoughts on the Seahawks?
They just got to work on their rush defense. I mean, same thing we're going to talk about the next game, too. I mean, when a team could just beat you up for 4 quarters, by the time you get to the end of that fourth quarter, if the game's not out of hand, like, the team running the ball is probably going to win that game.
Right.
Like, they just pound it down their throat, they tire them out, then these guys don't want to tackle.
Yeah, and while I'm here dropping cool stats, Derrick Henry, 187 yards rushing yesterday, 160 after contact.
Wow.
That's 4.75 yards per carry after contact. Just unbelievable performance there from Henry, and probably bailed out. You know, as much as I don't like Mike McCarthy, I don't like Todd Downing either. So could not believe that happened to me. But hey, it's the NFL. We bounce back, and you know what? At least we lose in grandly entertaining fashion, as that game yesterday showed. Let's go to the night game. The Baltimore Ravens bounce back. You know, I was a little surprised. I thought that the Ravens offensive line was done. It looks like Villanueva. Remember, Tyler, we ran him down on 3 shows last week. We were the anti-Villanueva show, right? And all the guy needed to do was go back to left tackle, because remember how Max Crosby was just killing him all night in week 1? He was beasting on Frank Clark. I mean, just, man, what a difference a week makes, right? Baltimore was able to run the ball. That was the difference in the game. And Kansas City just couldn't move the ball when they needed to. I don't know why you're running with Hilaire when you have Patrick Mahomes. And talk about bad draft picks. You know, that one might get overlooked because the Chiefs are so good. But he's not looking to be the player they expected. Basically, we'll start with the Chiefs. My question, Title, can they win the AFC with this defense, or do they need to try and get involved in a trade?
I think they can still win it with their defense. I think they'll make adjustments. I mean, Andy Reid, Spagnuolo, they've been there, they've done that. They've, in the previous years, they've had problems in the defense. They've let up points. They've got it figured out. I'm not worried about the Chiefs at all.
Tyler, what do you think of the Chiefs defense? Do they need to upgrade, or are they still the favorites in the AFC?
No, they're still fine. I mean, when you have Patrick Mahomes in this high-powered offense, and as long as your defense can get 1 to 2 stops a game, you're fine.
All right. Let's talk about Baltimore. You know, they were racked with injuries. 15 players on the injured reserve going into last night's game. That's part of the reason that I was incorrectly on the Chiefs. I'll take my L there, as Baltimore played a great game, you know, and a lot of sharp people I knew were on the Ravens. Should have had me worried. But, Title, what do you think? How do you rate Baltimore now after last night's win? You know, all we were focusing on was everything that they lost, but, you know, they still got a lot of weapons there. What do you think about Baltimore?
They finally let Lamar cook a little more. I mean, they got him out in space, and they just got he's so talented. I mean, he's so fast, so explosive. They just got to put the ball in his hand more. I know it comes with more injury risk, but you got to trust him. And he ran the ball 16 times, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. No one could stop him. If they keep it on Lamar's back and he stays healthy, kind of like 2 years ago, it's a good football team. I think they'll win games in the regular season. I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders yet. I think you need Lamar's arms got to get fixed a little bit. He made some decent throws, but I don't think he can fit it in tight pockets when the defense gets a little stingier and stuff like that. So I think they're a great win for the Ravens. Great call by Jim Harbaugh. I like this team, but Super Bowl contenders, which is probably what they're going for, I still don't think so yet. But yeah, great win. That's for sure. What a comeback.
Tyler, how much did you upgrade the Ravens in your power ratings after last night?
I mean, that'd keep them right around like the same area. We knew that game was going to be a dog fight. Those two teams always fight each other when they play. But I mean, with it being in Baltimore, everyone and their mother was on the Chiefs last night, so
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me to see Baltimore cover the spread and win the game outright.
Yeah, I was a little mad at myself. Honestly, that wasn't a matchup fade. It was an injury fade. And boy, you got to give credit to Harbaugh and the rest of that staff. Let's move on to tonight. Why are we going to lament losses when we can give out winners? Tyler, tonight's game, I think the line is 12.5 now. Let me double check and see how much the line's moved.
Down to 11.5 at DraftKings Sportsbook. I saw 12 to 11.5 it went for on the show, and then 49 to 49.5 for over under at DraftKings Sportsbook.
All right, and I'm at plus 11 now on Bookmaker with a total of 49, like you just said. Hey, Tyler, since you got the numbers, we'll start with you. Who do you like tonight? Do you like the Packers to lay the 11, or are you going to take the Lions?
I'm personally not going to bet. I never really bet any Packers games. I don't see how the Packers come out and lay an egg. I think Rodgers absolutely bounces back. You get the perfect matchup. You're at home. I mean, everything in the world's going for them. It's a lot of points for sure, but Tyrell Williams is out on Detroit. They lost their best cornerback. Like, I do not see how Detroit.
Was he their best cornerback though?
I thought
he's got the best potential, but if you look at the PFF grade, it was like lower than 50.
Left after him though.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, I mean, they lost one of their main cornerbacks. Like,
okay, that's fair. They lost the potential, really.
They lost their starting cornerback, basically. They're number one.
Yeah,
no other number one on another team, but he's their number one.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's going to be. I don't see how I think Aaron Rodgers comes out, does his thing. I think the Packers roll, but it's not a hot take at all. I mean, anytime when everybody and their mom's on one side, sometimes the sharp sides go on the other side. So that's why I'm not betting it, but I don't see how the Packers lose.
Tyler, what are your thoughts on this? First, we'll talk about the spread. What do you think? 11 points as of right now.
I mean, if you had to pin me down to a side, just give me Green Bay because I think they come out and just lay the hammer down on them.
Mm-hmm.
But if this number gets to like 23.5 live, give me Detroit because we all know that at the end of the game, Detroit's going to score some garbage time touchdowns just like last week.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility.
Maybe that's why first half. What's the first half line? I know you guys
6.5 or 7, depending on where you look.
I think I probably like that a little more than the game, but you guys are the sports bettors mainly. So
no, the first half's always a good looking double-digit spreads, and that's actually usually my default too. So obviously we're rubbing off on you, Tyler. Do you have any thoughts on the total?
On the total, I'd lean over just for that simple fact that I think Green Bay is going to put up points, and say if they put up 35,
mm-hmm.
and it's 35-10 going into the fourth quarter. Probably calling the dogs off, and that's when Detroit starts to pour in these garbage time points that probably put you over that total.
Yeah, I remember that they scored a lot of those points last week against the Niners second stringers, and then they had to pull all the starters off of the bench for that last drive. Tyler, do you have any thoughts on the total?
Yeah, I agree. I think it goes over as well. I think Aaron Rodgers moves the ball at will, and we've seen what Detroit did last week. They're going to fight. I don't think this Green Bay defense, obviously it's a very low implied total for Detroit around 18, but I don't think this Green Bay defense is quite ready yet. I mean, there's a lot of holes in that defense. So I think they put up points, and garbage time always gets there. So Packers are going to put up a lot, and I think Detroit puts up enough for the over.
And Tyler, you had a stellar day yesterday with the props. We're looking to keep it going here. What are the winners for tonight?
Looking at this game, I mean, you go back to last year when Tampa Bay smashed Green Bay.
Right.
Rodgers he throws 16 for 35, $160, and 2 interceptions. The year before that, they play San Fran. They get obliterated. He goes for 104 yards and 1 touchdown. Both weeks after that, they win one game 35-20, the other one 31-13. Both those games, he threw 4 touchdowns, over 250 yards. Also, in both those games, Adams went for 2 touchdowns, and in the second game at Lambeau, he went for $196 with those 2 touchdowns. He scored the first touchdown in both those games. Rodgers goes back to what works after a big loss. He's going right to Adams to start this game. I think you bet all of Adams' props, any little player prop parlays you can get on with them, and you just tail those, and I think we're looking good at the end of the night.
Yeah, and to support your theory on that bounce back, teams that were favored in the week one that lost, then they're now double digit home favorites
Aren't they like
in the next
17
game.
and 7?
17-7, exactly. You
Yep.
saw the same exact number as me. All right, so Devontae Adams, I got no problem loading up on those. You know what? I call that Occam's handicap. Sometimes the simplest is the best, right? And I was even talking because I haven't had the best 2 weeks, and I said sometimes I think I'm overworking. Maybe I'm just getting away from some of this stuff and overthinking it. I like the way that you're attacking it tonight. I think that's great. So Tyler's giving me the winning props. Now, Title, this is a little tougher, right? Because we know Tyler's great at this. How are you going to get me into the winner's circle with the DFS lineup? Talk to me about how I should be building my core.
Yeah, man. Tonight's a tough one. Every single showdown so far I built with the underdogs. I've built 4-2 Raiders over the Ravens. I built Ravens yesterday. I mean, they've been close enough, and it's oversaturated where everyone just goes favorites and they go 4 or 5, and they don't think underdogs can win. Today, I just can't make a case to go 4-2 Lions or 5-1 Lions. So we got to differentiate somehow. The easiest way you do that is you leave money. I absolutely do agree with Adams. I'm going to have him a lot at captain, but because I'm going to eat that chalk at captain, he's 11-8 for normal. I just think he absolutely goes off. His ceiling's way higher than Rodgers, I think. So I'm going to play a lot of Devontae. I'm going to fade some Aaron Rodgers, even Devontae captain lineups, because everyone's just going to – that's what they do. They pair a receiver and the captain with a quarterback. In Showdown, you can get unique not doing that. So you expect Devontae to get a ton of it, put him at the captain, and then you can go and Aaron Jones if you expect Devontae to get all the catching. Aaron Jones gets some running, take away from the Rodgers touchdowns there. I like A.J. Dillon a lot too. He's cheap. Should be a very good game script for him. He's only $3,000, so there's your savings right there. I think he gets in the box today. I think he's like plus 225. Didn't have a good week last week. Some people are going to be on him for sure, but it's not just Aaron Jones' backfield. It's a two-headed monster back there. I really like A.J. Dillon today, so you can go like an Adams, one of Aaron Jones, Dillon. I probably won't play both in the same lineup. I don't hate it, but you can go there. Scantling, he led the team in targets last week, 5.6K. Aaron Rodgers really likes Scantling. He's had his drop problems, as we know, but he's a speedster. He gets behind the defense. I think he could catch a deep one today, so I'll have a lot of Scantling. Him and Devontae are definitely going to be my two highest exposed pass catchers on the Packers. Then going to this Lions team, I'm still going to have a lot of DeAndre Swift.
That was what I was going to ask you about. So in my, week-to-week fantasy leagues, I have some Swift, and I had to bench him because he was questionable yesterday morning, and I didn't want to be left holding the bag and having to start that guy like Kylan Hill or, some third-string running back. Yeah. So now that more information's out, how are you speculating or projecting DeAndre Swift for tonight?
Yeah, I think he plays. Yeah, I was in the same boat. I haven't been season long. I lost Gus Edwards, so I really needed him to play. I kept him in there. Thankfully, I'm already locked to win. I rolled the dice, but
good for you.
I mean, he's so explosive. He's a pass catching back too. Even when they're down, he's going to be in the game. I mean, he was last week. Caught a bunch of targets. Really good PPR guy, and he's 8,400. He's going to be played a little bit, of course, and everyone's going to be played, but I think more people would just go up to Goff. And he's in that range where he has so much upside, point PPR upside. He can get in the box. He can get your garbage time. I think he's a very strong play. And everyone keeps talking about Jamal Williams, who I'm good with Jamal Williams too, but he's 7.2K. Give me all the DeAndre Swift for 1,200 more. I like his explosiveness, his upside more. People are going to go with the narrative. So I think DeAndre Swift's a really strong play. I'm even going to mix him in a little in the captain spot. He's 12.6 in the captain after you put him there. And you play even his game script independent. So if they're up a lot, which we don't expect, but they'll pound it with them. If they're down a lot, he's going to be in. He's going to be catching dump offs and getting garbage time yards. And I think he gets there regardless. He's by far my favorite Lions player. I'm probably going to lock him in a 20 entry max and be more underweight Goff and pick out the receivers. Like Amon St. Brown, he's only 2.4K. I think he's going to be the most popular. I'm fine with him there. I don't have too strong of a lean on the Detroit receivers, so I'm going to mix and sprinkle in them. My core, I'm going to go Swift, Devontae Adams, and I'm probably going to say one of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. I'm going to make a rule, and that's how I'm going to start my 20 entry builds. I'll have 100% Adams, Swift, and then mix in the Aaron Jones or Dillon in one lineup, and then mix in the other three spots from there. Get a Lions pass catcher, and stuff. And I'm going to set a rule for sure, like I usually do. I'm not going to play 50,000 worth of salary. I'm not even going to play 49.9. I'm going to leave at least 300 on the table because that eliminates so many duplicates right away. And I think that's the sharp way to do it. If you take first and share it with 3,000 people, you might as well light your money on fire. It was negative EV before even putting a lineup in. So leave salary. You can mix in a kicker and defense. I think Packers defense is going to be over-owned actually, because you look at the total, you look at the spread and stuff. So I'm probably just going to cross them off. Again, if you're playing 150, that's a little riskier to do. But I usually cross defenses off, max at one kicker. So that's kind of how I'm approaching today. I love Adams, though. Tyler loves him. It's hard not to. I think him and Swift are going to be my two captains. And then Robert Tonyan. I didn't even mention any Tonyan, but he's only like plus 175 to get in the box today, which is a really good number. And I think he's overlooked, too. I think people are just going to go receivers. I mean, Rodgers likes Tonyan. No one would be shocked.
Especially in the red zone.
Yep, no one would be shocked if he has a 2-touchdown game at lower ownership. So another guy, Tonyan, Scantling, Adams are going to be my three primary pass catchers, and I'll definitely get overweight on Tonyan. I don't think people play him a lot. So hopefully that answered it. My core, Swift, Devontae, and then I make a rule of one max, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon in those lineups.
That's wonderful. So, Title, I think you definitely helped me make a little lineup here. We will see. Treading my water here in this GPP. And I thank Tyler for giving me that winner and help me get back on track because, not the best 2 weeks for my individual picks, but that's the best part about being a member of Run Pure Bets. When I'm down, the teammates are here to pick me up. Tyler picked me up this weekend. The Sports Keg picked me up this weekend. And Joey Work's been picking me up for about a month right now. So I love being a part of this team. You should be a part of this team too. Head over to runpurebets.com. Use the promo code BETS25 off to join right now. You'll get access to all the plays on the spreadsheet, all the Discord conversation going on. Sometimes we're giving out great information. Sometimes we're just having a great time joking around. And then, of course, you'll get access to the Sports Keg Live. He's going live just for the members on Sunday in the morning. That's when a lot of the action goes down, and that's when Tyler gives out a lot of the winners. So don't miss out. Head on over to runpurebets.com. Use that promo code BETS25 off. If you guys haven't already, guys, we just spent an hour, having some fun, not just banging out information today. We're talking about what we see, talking about our process, how we're adjusting these teams. But please go ahead and give us a like on this video and subscribe to the channel so you will be notified when the Sports Keg goes live tonight for Monday Night Football, when Tyler and I go live tomorrow for the whole rundown of the whole card. Where today we're looking back. Tomorrow we get back to what we do best, and that's looking forward, giving out these picks, giving out these plays. So be subscribed so when JJ goes live to give out a free play, it's only a 7-minute video and you get a winner out of it. What a deal. And then, of course, Joey Works shows that have been absolutely fantastic. Way too much content for me even say, but thank you everybody for hanging out. Title, thank you for joining us once again on a Monday. Tyler, looking forward to talking to you guys, talking to you tomorrow as we give out these winners. You got anything else for everyone, Title, before you head down? It's not the Deer District. What is it, like the Cheese Center? What's going on down there?
No, unfortunately, Green Bay's Milwaukee's only a 25-minute drive. Green Bay is about 3 hours, so
okay.
I won't be up at Lambeau today. I should get myself up there before I move, but Lambeau's always a good time. Been there plenty of times, so I'll just be watching it with a couple buddies. Hopefully, the Packers get back on track. And thank you for everything you do, Spread. You make this show what it is. Your questions that you have, it makes it a lot of fun to hop on, talk football. Basketball is going to be here before you know it. So appreciate having me on and keep crushing yourself.
Thank you. 30 days till NBA, Tyler. Anything else before we sign off?
No, just let's get this Adams career night home. Let's see him post like $150, 3 touchdowns, and let's make some money tonight.
Yeah, hopefully the young phenom continues his run of winners. With that being said, thank you everybody for hanging out. We will be back tomorrow to break down the whole card. Jay, the Keg will be on this evening to give you all the winners for Monday Night Football live in play and have some great time talking some sports as well. So make sure you're subscribed. See you very soon.